everybody, I am back, and we have our calculator open from the last video. If you did not watch it, you may want to, just so that you can get up to the same spot that we are now. Okay, so I will review what we already have. I'm going to hit run. Drag it over here, and we have a basic calculator that we can say 5 times 5 equals 25, and we can say 99 minus 33 equals 66, and say 45 times 2 equals 90. Alright, what if we do 45 times 2 divided by 3? That should be, with order of operations, that should be 30, and it is. Okay, so that was good to do a little bit more testing. So, alright, today we're going to do a little bit with data templates, because we're going to have multiple different types of calculators. You know, if somebody wants to do a scientific calculator, or somebody wants to do different types of calculators, we are going to support that. So, okay, what do we have to do this? Well, first off, we need to create a new folder. And we're still running, so we have to close that out. And this is going to be called styles. Okay, that's usually what I call it, but you can call it whatever you want. I'm going to actually add another folder inside of it, just so we have a hierarchical type of deal there. And this is going to be called calculators. In the first one, we're going to choose a resource dictionary, and it's going to be called Basic Calculator. Alright, so get rid of that, we don't need that, and we're going to create a style. We're just going to actually copy these, put them in here, but we might want to use this in more than one area because of what we're going to be doing. So let's actually create another folder and call this buttons. Let's add a new resource dictionary and go ahead and call this we'll just call it keypad. Okay, and we copy and paste that in there. Let's go ahead and say resource dictionary dot merge oh, that's because I said relative source. Say source, and we're going to go back to buttons and then say keypad. So now that's in there, and that should apply to this resource dictionary. Alright, now our goal here is to close out of that. We no longer need this. And let's just hit save and go ahead and cut this out. And add a content control and make the content binding to selected calculator. Alright, view model. Alright, and now the basic calculator. Our view model is actually shell view model. We no longer want that. Let's go ahead and create a new class. Create a new folder. Go ahead and make this calculators. We're also going to go ahead and add a new class. And if you had ReSharper, that's Control-Alt-Insert. This is going to be basic calculator view model. And he's going to derive from view model base. Alright. So now our basic calculator, we're going to have a data type. Giving me a hard time here. Let's see, data template. Sorry about that. Data type. It's going to be X type and view models basic calculator view model. Alright, and that's the beauty of ReSharper. I can automatically just hit Alt-Enter and it does that. If you do not have ReSharper, you will have to type this out up here. So that's okay too. Let's go ahead and say paste. Oops. Alright, so now let's go to shell. And we are going to move him. And we're going to cut all this out. And we're going to paste it into here. Alright. Change names. Alright. Now we are going to want to go back here. And we're going to say prop. Actually, what we're going to want to do, so I used the code snippet that we talked about in the last one. If you don't have that, we'll have to type that out by hand. But we want a view model base, and this is going to be, we need to look and see what we called it, selected calculator view model. So now we want to create a constructor, and we're going to want to go ahead and just set this. view model, calculator view model, and we're going to pass in our calculator. And now we're going to say selected calculator equal view model. We're going to build that. We're going to go ahead and try to run it and make sure it still works. It does not. And we know why. So in here we want to go ahead and say window.resources. Okay. Now we want to say resource dictionary source. Styles, calculators, and basic calculator. Now let's go ahead and try to run it and see what happens. And it now works again. Alright, so that is good. Now what we want to do, we're going to go ahead and close out of this. We will have to reopen that back up in just a little while, but let's make a commit and say move basic calculator to separate. Alright, so now we've done that. Our next goal, we want to figure out what is our next calculator. And if you open up here, you can see there are a bunch of different ones. Here's a programmer one. And here is a scientific one. That's pi. And here's a length. Okay. Area. There is a lot here. We're not going to do all of these, but let's just do scientific. We have, looks like, a lot of new functions and so on and so forth. So that said, we may actually have to break this up into a couple videos. Just simply, it might take a little bit longer than I'm going to try to keep all of these at about an hour long. So okay. So this actually looks like it has, you can say 88 times 9, and you can say 55 divided by 3. Okay, didn't work. And you can look at your history. Okay, so I think our first step is going to be to get this working. So, well, get the UI working. Looks like we have a little bit of a sidebar that pops out. Has a little bit of animation. That is a give me a list box here, and it has a little hamburger and the name of the type of calculator. So we'll do that. What we're going to do, the very first thing we need to do is we need to probably create some sort of interface that will allow us to have things like this that we're wanting to implement. So let's look at our standard calculator. It does have that. It does have the go back, which we have not implemented yet. Our history, but you notice it doesn't keep so let's switch ones. Okay, so sorry to waste your guys' time looking at the different calculators. What we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and create this here. This looks like this is a view inside of it, so we can do all of this and keep track of the caching and all that in the main window, and then the rest we can probably do in the view models themselves. Alright, so let's build this first. Very first thing we need to do, what happens if we make it big? No? Okay. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, so here's our view models. Create a folder called interfaces. Let's add one. So now we can do that. Looks like we also are going to need to have a we can create a class here in our models. Where are our models? We don't have any yet. Alright, let's create a model. And we'll call it a calculation. Okay. We'll make it a struct, and it will have the expression. You know what, let's string and make it I'm going to make it a class instead of a strut, just because, well, it's easier. So this will have a list or an eye collection calculation. Alright, so now we have this, which we can implement. Let's go ahead and create a new class and call this a calculator view mount model. Man, I cannot spell. Alright guys, so now we have this. So what I want to do here, this is our basic, right? This is actually a base class, so we need to rename that. Make this an abstract. Make this an abstract as well. Alright, and so now we've implemented those. So now we can go to our calculators and we can implement, we can remove this and we can actually now call it calculator view model. And he's going to want to implement a few properties. A calculator type that we are going to call the standard. Call it basic. Right. That's what we called it before. So let's go ahead and put him up here. Alright, now let's make sure this still works. Alright, so that's good. Let's go ahead now and change this shell view model from view model base to an calculator view model. this works. And it does. Okay. So that's good. So now what we can do, we can go here to our shell. Go ahead and put him in a grid. Stack panel will be good. Okay. And we'll go ahead and put a label. The text content, sorry. It's going to be binding to So now we should make this a little bigger actually, and I'll make it 30. Font weight, say bold. See how that looks? Ooh. Well, that did not do what we thought at all. And that's because we wrote it in the wrong area. That's better. Our screen needs to be a little bit bigger. So we will now adjust that. The width is going to stay the same. The height is going to be 400. Alright, so now that looks a little bit better. Okay, so the next thing we want is a flyout from the left with a list in it. So there's a couple options here. First off, we need a button and with a hamburger menu. So we're going to add a stack panel here, and we're going to go ahead and say orientation is going to be horizontal, and we're going to add a button, and so what you can do is you can actually add icons. So I'm going to find the website. I'm going to hit pause and be right back, because sometimes it takes me a few minutes. So I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm back. Sorry that took a little while. What we need to do is we need to go to Manage NuGet, and we need to download Font Awesome. And there will be one that is WPF. It's this one. Go ahead and download it. Install latest. Okay. We can close out of it. And now in our button, what we want to do, we want to go ahead and say button.content. We want to add Font Awesome here. There it is. this is giving me a hard time. I think this is wrong. So please note that that was not correct. There we go, that's what we want. Image awesome. And we can say a height of 50 and a width of 50. You can make it whatever you want, but that's a pretty good size. Icon, and we can say bars. Now we have that. Let's go ahead and run it. Okay, it's there. Doesn't look very good because we've got some issues going on here. This is not the same color, and it has an outline. So what we can do now is we can actually just go ahead and we can actually just modify it here and say background white, and we can say border thickness 0. Now that should work. Does. Alright. Now our this needs to actually go to our label, and vertical alignment is bottom. Now let's look at that. Make sure that looks pretty good. It does. Oh, sorry guys. I think it looks pretty good like that. So now what we want, when we click this, we want to fly out to pop to the left with the different calculators that we can choose. Okay, so I am not here to do a tutorial on what I'm about to show you. You absolutely can look at my code and copy it, and I may then, when this is all done, put it up on GitHub for everybody to look at. But what we can do, we can go to Manage NuGet Packages in MallApps.metro, and it's supposed to be Small Apps. Okay, and we want to install it. Okay, it installs. And you actually have to go to the website and get their it will open this up, and you can scroll down. There's a quick start. You can hit controls. It'll show you different controls they have. You can hit about. But long story short, here's a quick start. It's under guides, quick start, and tells you how exactly to do it. But basically you want to copy this and put it into your app XAML file under resources right here. And then there's a few things you have to do. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're now going to import MallApps here. So, I'm sorry. Okay, should do it. We can now say and then we need to go to the code behind the shell and open it up and make this a metro window. Okay, now when we run it, we're going to see everything looks totally different. Oh, we broke something. Nested. Okay, so so we need to say resource dictionary, and inside that resource dictionary we need to merge it. Okay, it builds, and now everything looks quite a bit different. So what we can do now, we can change the theme, and we can change the color. Personally, I like base dark and cobalt. That is personally what I like. It looks a little different. Now everything looks, you know, if you type in it, that's correct. Now what we need to do, because we did that, we're going to go to our styles, okay, and we're going to go to our calculator, and these buttons, we want to import mall apps here, I think. And it might be easier just to go to shell. Copy that and then go back to here, paste it here, and we can say ma and square buttons. Or actually, what we have to do now is just forgive me, it's been a while since I used this. Say style. We can say static resource, and we can say square button style. Maybe it has to be dynamic resource. Okay, give me a second, I'll look it up. I'll look through this so you guys don't have to wait. Just wait for a second here. Okay, I'm back now. Sorry about that. It took me a little while because I was barking up the wrong leg there for a second. That's okay. So, what you have to do, you have to copy everything you put in here. And you're going to want to put it into your resource dictionary. That's because we need to import it. Now, remember the trick I told you or taught you guys the other day, when you can push Alt and your right key and type on multiple lines. You're going to want to do that here because there's going to be a lot of typing. So it's actually style equals we want dynamic resource. You can actually use static. And then you want to say square button style. Okay, and then close your parenthesis. And now what I would do is just copy this and paste it here and here. you can go ahead and run it. And look, we are now have it. Okay. Now we're going to actually want to format them as well. So what if we do this? No, that wasn't it either. So what we can do, we can actually do it to all of the buttons, I believe. I don't know this for sure, so I'm going to do that, but if we have to go back, then I'll pause it and go back. Alright, so I believe we can do this based on static resource square button style. Let's try that. Well, no, it didn't work. So I guess the answer is you're going to have to write it on all of them. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I really don't know it. So, you know, you can do it that way. Alright, give me a few minutes, I'll look it up. Okay guys, sorry about that. You can actually do it. What you have to do is you say style based on static resource square button style. Okay, and then the key is putting your keypad that we used after all of their imports. So now you see down here we don't have any of them, which is great. We run it. It looks as expected. We can make the border thickness a little smaller if we would like. We can change the accent color if we would like to whatever you want. What we'll do, we will actually go to, excuse me, it's getting late, keypad, and we are going to change now it's a lot less. Alright, so that's good. It still works. 77 times 3. I have no idea. 231. Alright. So that's good. Now, we have all apps installed. Our goal, got a little sidetracked. Sorry about that. I think we're getting close to an hour. Is the flyout. I will show you this. On page, you can go to controls, and there's flyouts. And you can they actually have a demo that you can download, and it has all of these on there. But there's a way that you can see how it'll look. It'll fly out over the side. But we want to bind this so we can use MVVM. Alright, so we're going to now do this. Alright, we're going to go ahead and say controls, turn them all, and we're going to say fly out. Position, we're going to say left. Alright. It is open. Binding to fly out. Open. Okay. So now we can go to our shell view model, and we can create a property. It's going to be a Boolean property, and we're going to call it is open. We're also going to go ahead, we actually want to call it fly out open. I apologize for that. And we want to create a command, delegate command, and we want to say open fly out. Okay, and we're going to override our register command. Fly out command equals new delegate command, and open fly out. And this we simply want to say fly out open equals fly out, or equals true. And copy this, go back here, go to our button that we created, see if this works. Alright. So now we're going to open it. And the fly out goes, but it goes behind everything, which is a little bit interesting. And the reason that is because in WPF, the thing that is last will be on top. So because we put this on top, and we also want to say width is going to be 200. So it's half the width. Alright, so now we pull it over. It goes. Close it. Reopen it. Close it. Reopen it. Our flyout is now working. Alright, that is great. So, we did a little bit of in this video we did a little bit of formatting our application, and we are now going to edit it. I personally want this to be a little bit dark and not light, so let's see if we can do that real quick so we can keep all of the formatting in the same video. Sorry for that. Alright, so we're going to go to our app XAML, and we already have it dark, but the background isn't dark. Well, that's because technically I guess we don't need this. We do need this here. That should work, and it's probably being overridden by this. It is. Now we're dark. Our flyout is dark. Our button is white still, so we don't want that. Let's go ahead and make our I don't know. I don't really like that color, but guess we could leave it that way. Wouldn't be the worst thing. And we can say see what then happens. It is now, let's make it accent color brush 1. And foreground is going to be white. Well, the foreground didn't work. Maybe we need to change it here. I'm not sure how to change the color of that. I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm actually going to put this back to white. And it will be not a bad color. Yeah, that is bad. Alright, so we're going to make him, just because I don't want to waste your guys' time to figure it out. And we'll do that in what would be a good thing to do, because it looks like we're going to be using this a lot. Where is it? Is combine all this together. So we're going to create a packages. we'll create a resource dictionary. We'll call it MA bindings. Okay, and we simply just need to do this. Cut this out. Paste it here. Alright, let's see how that looks. Changing the other one as well. So now we have less of a import statement, and we don't have to remember our changes for all of them, so they're the same now. Alright, that is good. Okay guys, I'm going to wrap this video up, and I will be back with another video on actually implementing the second calculator. For that I apologize, and have a good evening.